awkward angle, to be honest. He looks like he's in the Matrix or something as he's trying to get his leg over.
Hello and welcome to the penultimate episode of the First4LCFC Podcast. Once again, we'll be looking at the big Leicester City talking points, and there are a few where Leicester had their opportunity to make their mark on the title race when they went away to Man City on Bank Holiday Monday. So we'll dive straight in with that. It seems a good place to start. Krys, it was a tough game for Foxes, undone by a wonder goal. But what did you make of the whole performance?
Well, I think overall it's always a really good performance. Unlucky to come away with no points. I don't think anyone could have predicted sort of company scoring from 30 yards or so. If anything, it probably would have been like a bullet header or something, but unfortunately not. But yeah, in terms of our performance, I think so many positives to take. I think we left everything on the pitch. I don't think we can really complain or pick out any negatives in particular. I think the team really worked together. I mean, in the first half in particular, tracking back so fast, like before Man City could even get to the edge of the penalty box, we had like everyone other than Jamie Vardy behind the ball at times. I just think a really super disciplined performance. Players knew exactly what to do. Chilwell was showing Bernardo Silva down on his weak foot. It was a really good performance, but having said that, the only negative, which I can think of actually, is Kasper Schmeichel's distribution again, which is very frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, he's come in for a bit of criticism so far this season. And I know during the game he probably put it straight out of play 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, it did feel like that. I think it's just frustrating. It's like maybe anxious isn't the right word, but when he's in possession, it's almost like you feel he's going to give it away directly to them, or it's just going to go out of play. So I can see what the idea is. Obviously, if he plays a dead intercepted ball sort of to the right man, it can really open up the middle part of the pitch. But I think he only did that successfully once or twice. So he's going to have to work on that over the summer. But no doubt, he's conscious of that as much as we are.
Yeah, I think was it Guardiola himself mentioned his distribution is one of our key weapons, and I think you're right. When it works, it's brilliant, but when it doesn't, it puts us right under pressure. I mean, from a team point of view, like you said, we worked very hard and we played rather well. But was there anyone that stood out for you on an individual basis?
It's a tricky one. Like I said, Chilwell. I think defensively, a couple of podcasts ago, I might have criticised him for maybe being all about the attack and not so much defensive. But I think, Rodgers or whoever told him, this is your job, stick to it. He was dead good. I don't remember him making an obvious mistake. But otherwise, I think it's Ndidi again for me. An absolute enforcer in the midfield of the pitch, and I think he's just such a steady player. You know what you're going to get from him. And yeah, again, that partnership with Chowdhury, I think it's got a lot of promise, and hopefully it will flourish next season.
Yeah, I think indeed he was absolutely fantastic, and he was much better on the ball, bit more active as well. I think for me, Johnny Evans really showed his class once again. I think he's just reading of the game, and he's such a calming influence on the ball. Him and Maguire are talking about partnerships. I think that's got a lot of hope. But I mean, sadly, they were undone by an absolute beauty. Vincent Kompany, his first shot on target from outside the box since 2013, which is classic Leicester. Ed, this must have registered on your trademarked thronkometer.
Yeah, it just about broke it, to be honest. For those who haven't seen the strike itself, I suggest you go online and have a look at it. And whilst you never want to lose any game of football, if you have to lose by a single goal to the reigning and champions who are probably going to win it again, that's the goal to lose it to. Really, it couldn't have been much better. He hit it as hard as he could. It was top corner, and it really was. It was swerving away from the keeper into the side netting almost. So can't fault Schmeichel at that. And out of all the players really to hit it from there, Vincent Kompany didn't even know he had it in his locker. Surprised he didn't injure himself trying to kick it, to be honest. But
not sure he knew he had it in his locker.
I mean, the only criticism, though, I'm sure you can agree, and I can see why they didn't do it, but we literally stood off him, and it's not because there wasn't anyone near him. It's just like everyone, you're obviously going to assume he's only going to play the ball, so why try and like close him down? But if you give a professional footballer that much space, there's always a risk, isn't there?
The Aguero after the game, not sure how much this was his hilarious Argentine banter or whether he's being serious. He was caught on camera saying to company like, "Oh, saying don't shoot."
I think anyone would have been thinking that.
Yeah, he didn't think he had it in him.
I think the only people willing him to shoot are probably Leicester fans.
Well, yeah.
Oh, mate, if he can have a pop, great. Don't bother giving it to one of the other lads.
I think it's just frustrating though, because obviously if someone like Vincent Kompany is putting it upon himself to shoot, it just goes to show how much it was like they were obviously nervous. They were starting to twitch. Like we could have potentially gone and got one on the break ourselves. They would have been committing more and more men forward. So it is a really unlucky way to have lost the game, I think.
I mean, Leicester went closest through James Maddison after which was a really slick move, and what a dribble by Harry Maguire. He turned into a much longer Messi again.
Yeah, I know. It just seemed like he was like twice the size of anyone he was running past. I think he should have kept going, to be honest. Maybe he got a bit out of breath, but
it did look like Poach sort of stepping into a game of under-9s.
Yeah, no, it was a bit bizarre, to be honest. But I think when Maddison's got the ball, I just had a feeling he was going to go in alone, which is fair enough, I guess. But Albrighton was in a delightful position on his right hand side. Probably would have played it first time across to Vardy, but we'll never know. But yeah, you got to make the most of those sorts of opportunities.
Yeah, it was a great strike, to be fair. But I mean, the other chance was came through that man again, Ricardo Perreira. He's got that chop where he just cuts inside onto his left foot, and it's so effective. But I mean, I don't suppose it was a surprise to see him pick up not only fans player of the year, but also players player of the year at the awards last night.
No, but I think whilst we're talking of chances, and before we move on, obviously the biggest chance was Kelechi Iheanacho, though. I mean,
forgot about that.
If you're talking about chances, yeah, I mean, it does summarise him as a player, and I know we're going to speak about him a bit later on, but I think that just summarises his lack of confidence, and he just snatched at it. I mean, you got to feel for the guy, but you got to think as well, if that was probably any other attacking player on the pitch, it would have at least forced a save, but Ederson was so far out of his goal. Anything either side of him was it was probably an equaliser.
I mean, yeah. We might as well get into this now because it's very interesting debate. That was Iheanacho's one touch in 10 minutes. I know that we were sort of sat back defending for a lot of that, but it shows the influence he had. But he had a massive chance to win it, and it almost felt for me. I don't know what you guys think. It almost felt for me like that was something of a turning point for his Leicester career. If that had gone in, that could have been, it. That could have been the start of an upward trajectory. But a lot of fans have sort of it's sparked a bit of debate about his future. Ed, where do you stand on how Leicester should approach the curious case of Kelechi Iheanacho?
I think he's got to stay. He's not. None of us can pretend that he's been in form or he's set the world alight. But if truth be told, and it shouldn't always be keep him because we couldn't get anyone better, but simply put, who is going to want to sign for Leicester who is better than Iheanacho, but content at being a second choice striker?
Well, this is what I was, because obviously I'm just looking at the results of the poll now. There's an hour left, but it's 56% say loan him out. 16% say keep him, like what you're saying, and 28 say no, just sell him straight away. But interestingly, what you're saying is, are we going to get anyone better? But you've got to almost say, like, is Iheanacho going to get any better playing these bit part roles, or is it just a case of you're going to sacrifice next season, maybe go to a team lower down division or even abroad, get your experience, get your confidence, and then come back? Because do we honestly see him improving with 5-10 minute cameos?
So do you think, Krys, and the main problem is simply his lack of football?
I think obviously none of us are professionals, but I think in terms of anything, in terms of our careers or anything, if we don't practice it or if we don't get good at something, it doesn't just happen overnight. It's a matter of having that exposure. And I think his confidence is inevitably shot to pieces. I think, like you said, if he scored against Man City, again, it wouldn't change things overnight, but he'd be buzzing. He'd want to play against Chelsea. He probably, again, I'm only assuming, but do you think he even wants to start, or is he just like, is his like head in such a negative place he just wants to see the season out now? I think he needs, I don't know, because when he came to us first, he had a great pre-season, but again, that's pre-season. It's not an elite match, so it's hard for me. But I just think send him out on loan. Like, let's use Kramrich as an example. I know we sold him, but you know he sort of went and he was banging him in Germany, for example. So surely that's better than selling him, because how much can we even achieve for him as an out of form player?
No, I completely agree. Ed, what do you think?
I'd agree with Krys in that I don't see any value whatsoever in trying to sell him. Because then at the end of the day, we'd have to buy another striker, evidently, if we sold him. And we've already got all of our money tied up for this summer's transfer. What we're looking at, if we do indeed go and try and buy Tielemans, what money would we have remaining from our original budget to get buy an Iheanacho replacement with? I would suggest very little. And as Krys said, how much would we get for selling him? Not a lot. So we may be trying to get a replacement for what, £10 million, something like that. And I just don't see I would personally keep him. I think, and I hate to say it, Jamie Vardy's not going to last forever. And when he's not first choice, or when he leaves, or when he retires, whatever, it's going to be a very sad day. But I think now is the time, if Iheanacho is ever going to stay at Leicester long term, to keep him, to get him used to the system we play. And who knows, by the end of next season, I don't know, Vardy may get injured mid-season next year, and then Iheanacho's like, look, this is my one chance. If I take it, this could be it for good.
Yeah, I mean, the point you're making is valid, and it's what the conversation we've been having on Twitter with a couple of our followers. But his criticism and what his Nigerian coach said for the reason he left him out in March was he just don't think his work ethic's there. Like, obviously, I put up that slightly controversial comparison of Adi Akinbaye back in 2000 to 2002, and yeah, maybe that was a bit silly of me, but I think I don't remember ideally, but having spoke to my dad or to people who do remember him better, at least he was putting in a lot of effort. I think a criticism that you there's no hiding place when you're not trying on the pitch. I think it's his attitude, like, and therefore it is hard for us as fans to sort of sympathise with him, because if we see someone's trying but maybe they're just little low on confidence, it's a lot easier to sort of see that there might be potential, but it doesn't look like he's that interested. Have you seen that yourself, Jamie?
Yeah, I think I probably agree with you. He's I mean, he's shown it in flashes, hasn't he? I think you look back at the goal he scored against Spurs at the back end of last year, and some of his performances have been good. But I think he's one of those where his confidence and work rate go hand in hand. It's almost like when he's buzzing and when he's on it, he's everywhere. But he sort of seems to, like I said, shrink away when things aren't going his way. And that's like I said, Leicester fans have always prided like the players on their work rate. I mean, Mark Albrighton's a fan favourite for a reason. Obviously, he's got much more in his locker than simply running, but people love him because he's up and down.
And Shinji Okazaki, like, again, he wasn't. His record is, I'm pretty sure it's touch and go to being worse than Iheanacho's as a ratio, but the fans love him. You know, obviously he's always smiling and stuff, but in terms of his work ethic, he is chasing everything for that 10-15 minutes he gets, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's all over the place. So
well, I don't think this is necessarily the right way to frame it, but think about this though. Did Iheanacho, ever since he signed for Leicester, did he really have the opportunity at any stage to be immaterial of what form he may or may not have had, to knock Jamie Vardy off of being first choice striker? I feel that, yes, for obvious reasons, he has to motivate himself, but surely it is some sort of demotivating, if that's even a word, factor, that he knows that he's not going to be first choice. He could come in, but let's say Vardy did, and it's not impossible this could happen. Vardy does something stupid next season. Iheanacho comes in for 3 matches after Vardy's got sent off. He scores 2 or 3 goals. Game after that, who starts? I think Vardy would.
Well, yeah, I get your point again, but this is all hypotheticals. Like, the bottom line is, let's use, I don't know, Divock Origi as an example, or Daniel Sturridge. I mean, Sturridge being the worst example because he hasn't actually come on and scored, but Origi, like, 3 occasions this season against Everton, Newcastle, and then obviously against Barcelona, he's come on and he's grasped his chance. So what we're saying is that we essentially need to maybe carry Iheanacho until he finally breaks his duck, but can we afford to do that and achieve the goals of pushing and knocking on the door to the top 6 next season?
Well, that's the point as well. If we do manage to establish ourselves up there, so longer seasons, more rotation, and I think Rodgers has shown himself to be pretty flexible as well. I think there's a chance for players to come in and force themselves into his plans. But like you said, Krys, it boils down to whether he's got the mentality at the end of the day. But
well, yeah, I mean that is the argument. Like, as much as any other Leicester fan, he's only 22. We need to see him develop just for his own sake. Like, it's such a shame to see someone who was such a promising player, had a great goal scoring record as a sub at Man City. We don't want to be known as a club who sort of welcomes players and, well, not ruins them, but they just don't seem to perform at Leicester. It's a bit strange because in terms of strikers, we've not had the most luck other than Jamie Vardy. So, I mean, it's a bit of a strange area for me. But like Ed says and what you referred to, like, whilst Vardy's at the helm, it is going to be limited opportunities. And like I said, even if Iheanacho came in and scored a hat-trick, I don't see Vardy just getting dropped all of a sudden. It is a frustrating one for him, I can imagine.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Kelechi, but my gut feel is that he will stay, and I hope that he kicks on and does add a bit to his game, because I've been rooting for him since day one. But yesterday, when that chance fell to him, I never expected that to go in. I did expect it to go inside the box at some point, but he blasted it pretty much straight into a ball boy. But that was bloody atrocious, wasn't it? But anyway. Moving on from Kelechi. Fortunately, a player, like I said before, one of the excellent signings of the season has been Perreira. Would you both, so starting with you, Ed, would you agree that he has been Leicester's standout performer this year?
Good question. I think there's been despite the dodgy patch with the whole Puel situation, and we were out of form and was starting to look down the table at some stages. Overall, there has been quite a few like promising performances. Obviously, I always think Vardy has once again proven his worth, being amongst the top goal scorers. Maddison, for a debut season, has been excellent, and you may or may not have seen recently as we come to the end of the season, he's starting to be linked with moves away to the traditional top 6. So he's obviously doing something right. Barnes has done well. Obviously went away on loan, but he's come back and now he's a first team regular. Tielemans has been exceptional since he's come. And I could go through the whole squad really. Chilwell's performed well. Evans has impressed since joining. But yeah, Perreira is just. Maybe I've gotten used to having Danny Simpson at full back and just having fullbacks who are completely solid rather than actually offer that attacking element, and that's something Pereira's offered that we've not really been used to before, and it really does offer a bit more when perhaps this season our wingers haven't been producing the goals or assists. That we do have that option, that we do have a fullback who can provide these opportunities for the attackers as well. So I do think, considering he's a recent signing, he's performed really well this season.
Yeah, I think that's bang on what you said there about like compensating for maybe the lack of creativity on our wings. I'm just looking at statistics now. So he's made 36 appearances for us, scored 2 and got 7 assists.
Good stats.
So over 2 seasons at FC Porto, he only registered 9 assists. So I'm not sure whether that suggests he's more advanced or just, maybe he's come on as a player. But, it's a very promising first season. And, yeah, I mean, it's a, yeah. As Chilwell starts...
he scored as well. Like he scored the winner at Man City, at home to Man City. And then he scored that run from inside his own half against Everton. So I think we can safely assume that he doesn't do tap-ins. But I think the mark of him is shown in the fact that he was players' player. I always think that's a very telling award for guys who are, who are actually in it day in, day out. And I think that shows his quality. But
I mean, that did surprise me, to be fair. Like it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if he was like favourite or anything before, but when I woke up to see that this morning, I was it did shock me a little bit, especially getting the double. I wouldn't necessarily have had him down for Player of the Year or Players Player, but I can't argue with it now. He's been awarded with it, so yeah, definitely deserved.
I think it's telling, and I don't know if this is my hard Brexiteer coming out here, but when like a foreign player wins Players Player, I think it's his debut season here. I suspect maybe he did know a bit of English before, but knowing a bit of English and actually coming here and living in England, and that's a big challenge. And I don't know how but he's actually been able to make that impact on his teammate in his first year in a new country, so much so that they think, players player. I think that's a really good sign, not only as him and how he's performed, but also sort of his character, that he's been able to make that sort of impression in this sort of new culture.
Yeah, no, I think fullbacks are such an important part of the modern game, aren't they? And I think in Perreira and Chilwell, we've arguably got a fullback combo to rival, well, certainly every team outside the top six. I know that Everton fans might have a case for that one. They've got a good pair, but they're up there, aren't they?
Right, definitely, yeah.
So the other player who picked up an award was James Maddison, who won Young Player. That's one I'd agree with. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, is Young Player like 23 and under at the start of the season or something like that?
Yeah, there are a few players in for it.
Yeah, so, well, yeah, you can't argue again with these like chances created, stats and everything that gets banded around on social media. It's hard to argue, and Maddison has impressed. And like Ed said earlier, he's inevitably going to attract interest from other teams this summer as well.
I think he was trending or something at some point on Twitter yesterday, or something. Like a lot of the teams from, not obviously Man City, well, may or may not be obvious, not people from like Man City or Liverpool who are that far ahead, but the teams just below that, like Spurs and Arsenal, a lot of their fans were like, look, we need to sign this guy. And it's a bit annoying that our players are getting linked with moves away because we don't want to lose them, but you can only take that as a good sign, really. And as you can see in all, if you've been to the games or seen the videos online or the tweets and Instagram posts they're doing, Maddison is got real good relationships and friendships with people in the Leicester team. I've got no concern that he's going to be going anytime soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope he does. I know that fans are even looking into the fact that he said "see you next season" in his thank you video. That's the sort of desperate times that we're getting to. But I think it's clear that Leicester need to hold on to their best players, and Maddison is such a key cog in it, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it's, we've alluded to it basically every podcast. We're relatively confident that our core is going to stick together. I think it's a case of like, come on, give us at least one more season. Let's see what we can achieve. But hopefully it's many more seasons than that. And, if we finish top 6 next year or top 7, sorry, that hopefully that gives them a reason to stay, and it could just be a snowball like that.
So, yeah, and the final award for the evening was the goal of the season, which was awarded to one Christian Fuchs against Fleetwood.
Well, he's definitely someone who can't score an average goal. That was that. I mean, it's again, he knows how to strike a ball. It's no surprise he won it. But I guess every goal that got listed, they're all really good goals. But yeah, fairly deserved for that one.
Ed, you were probably keen on that one because I think it's probably Stronker of the Year. I know we're going to do our alternative awards, and this is probably going to be one of them, but that one's going to be up there, isn't it?
If you want me to be brutally honest with you, I've just opened a tab on my laptop and I'm currently trying to find the goal. But basically, the ball was bounced out from a corner to 20, 25 yards out, and he's sort of awkward angle, to be honest. He looks like he's in the Matrix or something as he's trying to get his leg over, get his leg in position to kick the ball, should I say. And that is the sweetest strike as it gets, really. Like, real nice trajectory in the far corner. It definitely hit over a pig if it hit it square in the face. I'd be happy to, like, not get that in the top row of the stand. That was a really difficult effort and can't complain. Obviously, been a lot of other good goals. Maddison particularly has had a number of really good free kicks, but perhaps this one's sort of been lesser thought of because it was a cup game early in the season against Fleetwood, but that really was, it was a bit of a rasper.
There we go. Beautiful.
For what it's worth, I voted for Maddison's against Watford. The move, I thought that was absolutely brilliant, and I'm sure Fuchs will be delighted to know that he's officially registered on Ed Noon's Throng Commenter TM. But he's had a good week for other reasons, hasn't he? Signing a contract extension. I had assumed that he was off the entire season, to be honest. What do you make of that, Krys?
I think I've just seen Spurs score their equaliser. So sorry, yeah, no. What I make of Fuchs signing his contract is that it doesn't surprise me. I think it's a case of keeping the experienced champions that we can keep, who've still got the quality in the squad. Balance it out with the youth. It's important that we don't go full young because obviously the younger players don't have the experience. Fuchs, I'm sure, is still maybe working with Chilwell in training, or even just being that personality in the dressing room. Again, from videos we see online, he seems like to be a good laugh, and it's important to keep characters like that in the dressing room. But I'm sure he's the first also to get stuck into the players if he doesn't feel like something's going the way it should be. So yeah, I think it's a case of keeping someone who's still of the quality to make appearances, especially in the cup and stuff, but more so for his experience and what he can maybe teach the younger crop of players.
Ed, are you happy to see him stay on as well then?
Yeah, like you, we were literally chatting about who we were going to replace him with the moment the official tweet came out saying he signed a new deal. But yeah, at the end of the day, Ben Chilwell's going to be number one, first choice fullback. And again, similar to what we was discussing earlier, we've got to get players who are of enough quality if they're called upon, but are content with not being first choice week in, week out. After what Fuchs has done in the last few years since he first signed here, part of the incredible title winning team, he showed his worth. He showed he can step up when he's been called upon. Yes, he may not, now he's getting a bit older, his legs probably are going a little bit. He's not going to be the best he's ever been, but he's certainly adequate backup. So I've not got an issue with another year. Who knows, maybe even another year after that if he's still up for it. And we keep Chilwell, so I think he deserves it.
Because they've been talking about sort of Callum Elder as his natural replacement, but I think this must say a fair bit about his future at Leicester as well, perhaps. I mean, he's currently on loan at Ipswich, and from what I hear, he's not exactly turning up trees.
I think it has to be about, again, if we just put Elder in the squad, that's one less seasoned, experienced pro. So I've only seen Elder play once, and that was pre-season last season away at Notts County. But I mean, this season, sorry. But yeah, I don't think it is important because if you look at our bench at the moment, if we start replacing what experience we've got already with even more youth, then it gets to that worrying stage. So I think we keep those experienced players in there rather than maybe replacing them with fully youth products.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Elder he's 24 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's much older than I thought he was. Only because I'm looking at his profile here. He's so you'd have thought that his time was going to be now or never.
Oh, right. Well, in that case, yeah, I think it must be down to like quality-wise, especially if he's only been playing for obviously now relegated Ipswich. It makes you question. He must have been up against it a lot, and then if he still can't impress when he's getting bombarded every game, it is a bit worrying.
Yeah, and he's only managed three starts there as well in his time. So yeah, let's not looking great. So two other experienced pros who had the club have confirmed are leaving. Shinji Okazaki and Danny Simpson. Ed, obviously, it's very sad to see them go. Legends in their own right, but it's the right decision, isn't it?
Yeah, if we're being honest, Simpson's probably not even number 2 right back now with Amati, who I don't even rate, but Amati seems to be second choice, and Okazaki never really gets a look in. So for the good of their careers, for the good of Leicester being then able to fill that place in the squad and use their wages elsewhere, they've got to go. But you've just got to take your hat off to them and say what they've achieved whilst at Leicester, and the fact they were absolute key players in the title winning seasons, in that they played nearly every game, they contributed, they were solid, they scored. Particularly the goal I always remember from Okazaki is that bicycle kick.
Yeah, against Newcastle.
Was that against Newcastle? Yeah. He never really even scored that many goals, did he?
No.
But he's just like, the effort, his tenacity is, and he just always sort of play. I know it doesn't actually mean anything, but always seemed to play with a smile on his face. And I've seen quotes he say recently, like he's actually been a bit throughout his whole time at Leicester. Really, he was a bit frustrated with the fact he was never actually playing as a striker. He was sort of playing off of Vardy. And when he finds this new club that I'm sure he'll get plenty of offers from around Europe and farther afield, should he wish, said he wanted to play back up front again, but you never got that impression whilst he was here that he actually had an issue. He always looked happy to play, happy to contribute, and I think that's a really good sign.
Well, that's what you mean. That's like sort of the opposite of what we were getting at with Iheanacho. Like he obviously frustrated, but when he did get his opportunity, he definitely took it and he left everything on the pitch. Like used all his energy up chasing, and that obviously therefore created spaces in the latter stages of matches, which is important. I think I've read quotes from him saying that he's looking at offers from Italy. I think because it will suit the sort of slower pace, obviously, as he's getting older. I think he's 33 now, so I think Italy might be a likely destination for him. But it will be sad to see him go. But yeah, plenty of happy memories, and he's got that Premier League winners medal, so that's fantastic for him.
That smile on his face as he's celebrating that goal against Newcastle, it's a lovely thing to see. You only see that smile in children usually.
I think actually if you watch the goal that Fuchs scored against Hull, they were doing a montage of his best goals, and the celebration he did with Okazaki with the rock paper scissors, and Shinji just looks, honestly, like you can't help but smile when you look at him. He's so bloody happy to be there, but you can't understate how important he was in the title winning side, and in his work rate and acting like a foil for Vardy. And same goes with Simpson. With he was that platform for Mahrez, wasn't he? But so looking at the Chelsea game, obviously they're legends at the club. Do you, if you're Brendan Rodgers, what with places in the Premier League being worth millions of pounds, and obviously there's a few, the table can still change. Do you put out your strongest 11, or do you give Simpson and Okazaki a start so that they can be properly seen off by the fans?
I think it's an interesting one. I think the main bit is that each position is worth X amount of million. There's a difference, so that's obviously going to be something that's coming from the board down to Rodgers. But I think in terms of giving them a send off, it would be nice to see them play. Whether they start or not, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. I think a lot of fans, would accept win, lose, or draw last game of the season. It's obviously nice to win, don't get me wrong, but if it means seeing Okazaki Simpson, maybe giving was it Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, I think, who won the the development squad player of the season, if he gets a chance on the bench, maybe if we see some rotation. Even, I don't know, I don't think Iheanacho is going to start because I think Vardy will obviously want to still score goals, finish as high up on that top goal scorer table. But yeah, I wouldn't be against seeing them start but definitely feature. I think them coming on is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, Ed, you're in agreement with that?
I think it would be nice. I don't think it will happen, if truth be told. I know they've been giving it the big one on, well, the Leicester City Twitter page have been giving it the big one on Twitter today, thanking them, showing their best bits, saying goodbye to them. And I just feel like if they were really going to play, like, why don't they do all of that at the game or after the game rather than sort of saying bye now? Makes me think, well, this is the goodbye rather than anything happening.
I don't know. I don't know if you can read too much into that. I mean, it's obviously the media team and the management team. I don't know if they liaise at all. I think it's, again, it may be clutching at straws, or maybe it's really intelligent thinking from you. But I do think they'll definitely at least be on the bench. And I think it obviously depends on how the game's going. Say we're losing 3-0. I think chucking more players on for sentimental value is probably going to look not professional. So there's numerous factors, I guess.
Well, we can go as high as 8th and as low as 10th. So no, as low as 11th. Looking at the table, sorry, my mistake. So there's a few £1 million to play for. I personally think it'll be one of those after the game where the Birch will get his microphone out and say a few words. I mean, I hope there are more there than last season. I don't know if you can remember.
Yeah, sparse, weren't it, by the end?
I think there was me and about 8 others left in the blog.
I think it was 6 actually.
Yeah, my mistake. It was depressing, wasn't it? But so there's nothing really to play for apart from, well, obviously, the matter of millions of pounds. But in terms of the league, there's nothing to play for between these two teams. Krys, how do you see the game going against Chelsea?
I'm going to say this based on the assumptions that we start as strong a team possible, which I'm starting to side with. Like you said, Chelsea are guaranteed top 4. We're guaranteed not being in the top 7. It's end of the season. I just think there'll be goals. Let's end with a Leicester win. Let's go. Let's say 3-2. Then it's just an entertaining match. So yeah, 3-2 Leicester and Vardy to be the last goal scorer.
Ed, what are you saying?
I think Chelsea may have eyes on the Europa League final, which I suspect they're going to make, and they're also not going to have much time in training this week, given at least focusing on Leicester, given they're playing. Is it Frankfurt they've got?
Yeah, I think they've already said that Kante's going to be rested up until the.
I think I read
final.
He's out for a few weeks.
Yeah, and I think Sarri said that if he's going to be back, it'll be for the final. So.
So to be honest, I think they're not in amazing form anyway, and I wouldn't be surprised if they rotated a bit. I think Leicester might maybe 1 or 2 rotated, but nothing major. Just to be a bit different, I think. So I'll contrast it with Krys. I think it'll be a dead game, of which it'll finish 1-0 to Leicester. That's purely to be different.
We were rampantly optimistic last week, and this is a bit more low key. So I think you're probably right. I mean, I personally think I actually do feel quite confident, which worries me greatly because whenever I feel confident, we mess it up. But I'll give you 2-1 Leicester. I want Vardy to bag a couple. I want him as high up that golden boot table as he possibly can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously the next and final episode of the podcast will be our end of season review. And we, good, bad, or indifferent, we've had a lot of interaction with people that have listened, and we've really enjoyed it. That was part of I say we've really enjoyed it. Krys has had to get his tin hat out a few times, but that is part of why we started this, is to get a bit of discussion. So please send them in. And one of the things that I'd love to hear is your suggestions for alternative awards. So not just the player of the season, Just something with a bit more fun in it. So get them in, and the best ones we'll read out in next episode's podcast. So unless there's any other business, Ed, I know you like to pop up with something random at the end of these things always.
I'm gonna disappoint you. I'm quite full, having just eaten 4 burgers. I've not really got much to add.
Okay, brilliant. Well, on that ultra exciting note, we'll leave it there. If you made it this far, thanks again for listening. We really do appreciate it, and hopefully you can join us for our next episode, which will be the final one of the series. And like I said, hope to see you then.